There is something happening above you right now. Not metaphorically, literally. Above the roof of wherever you are sitting, something is moving through the sky that your eyes were never built to perceive. And the birds passing through it, the ones you barely glance at, they are reading it like a language so rich, so layered, so ancient that human science only recently began to understand it exists at all. You have looked at the sky your entire life. You have never actually seen it. The light falling on your hand right now contains colors. Not 2, not 5, not even the 7 your brain was taught in school. The visible spectrum you experience as reality is, in the truest sense, an abbreviation. A compressed summary of something far more complex. And birds, the pigeon on the ledge, the sparrow at your feeder, the hawk circling your neighborhood on a Tuesday afternoon, they are not seeing an abbreviation. They are reading the full manuscript. What researchers discovered when they first began mapping avian vision permanently altered what we thought we understood about perception itself. Because it wasn't just that birds see more colors. It was that they see an entire dimension of reality that doesn't exist for us at all. Your eye contains 3 types of color receptors. Scientists call them cone cells, one sensitive to red, one to green, one to blue. Every color you have ever seen in your life, every sunset, every painting, every face you love, all of it is constructed from combinations of those 3 signals. It feels complete. It feels like everything. It isn't. Birds have 4 cone types. That 4th one detects ultraviolet light. And what that means, truly means, is not simply that they see a color you can't see. It means they are processing a dimension of visual information that your brain has no architecture to even imagine. You cannot hallucinate it. You cannot dream it. There is no memory of it hiding somewhere in your mind, waiting to be unlocked. It is simply absent from your experience of reality entirely. The meadow you drive past without thinking, under ultraviolet perception, it blazes with patterns. Flowers that look plain white to you are, to a bird in flight, painted with landing guides, vivid ultraviolet bullseyes pointing directly to nectar. The grass that seems uniformly green reveals trails, markings, structures invisible to your eye. And your neighborhood, the one you know intimately, the street you have walked 1,000 times, is decorated with an entire visual layer you have never once detected. This is not a small thing. This is not a small thing. This is a parallel world occupying the same physical space as your own. And it goes further, because ultraviolet is only the beginning of what birds perceive that you do not. When scientists began studying avian magnetoreception, the ability of birds to sense the Earth's magnetic field, they expected to find some simple internal compass. What they found instead was something that still hasn't been fully explained. The leading theory, supported by decades of research from institutions including Oxford and the University of Illinois, suggests that birds may actually see the magnetic field. Not feel it, not sense it abstractly. See it as a visual overlay mapped directly onto their perception of the world. Think about what that means for a moment. You look at the sky and you see blue, clouds, light. A migrating thrush looks at the same sky and sees something that functions almost like a compass rose burned into the air itself, a visual gradient that tells it, with extraordinary precision, exactly where it is on the surface of the Earth. It is navigating not with instinct alone, and not with landmarks alone, but with a form of sight you have no access to. The bird crossing your yard this morning wasn't wandering, it was reading. The mechanism scientists believe is responsible for. This is almost philosophically unsettling. Certain birds appear to have a molecule in their eyes called cryptochrome. When light hits this molecule, it triggers a quantum reaction, an actual quantum mechanical event that is influenced by the surrounding magnetic field. The bird's visual system appears to translate that quantum information into something perceivable, a sensation, perhaps even an image. Quantum physics happening inside a living eye, producing a picture of the Earth's invisible magnetic architecture. We sometimes speak about birds as simple creatures. We use their name as an insult. And yet there is a sparrow that can look at the sky and perceive a quantum event. There is a warbler that feels the geometry of the planet rendered in light. There is something landing on a branch outside your window right now, whose visual experience of reality is so layered, so multidimensional, that the most advanced imaging technology humans have ever produced cannot fully replicate it. That should stop you for a moment. But even this is not the whole picture, because scientists studying bird vision discovered something else. Something that raises questions not just about what birds see, but about the nature of perception itself. Birds appear to see polarized light. Sunlight, as it travels through the atmosphere, becomes polarized. Its waves oriented in patterns that shift based on the position of the sun, the time of day, the moisture in the air, the angle of the clouds. You walk through this polarized landscape every single day without any awareness of it. To you, light is simply light. But to a bird in flight, the polarization patterns in the sky create a map. Not a rough map, a precise, dynamic, real-time map that updates continuously as the bird moves and the sun shifts. Even on overcast days when the sun is completely hidden, this polarized map remains readable. The sky still speaks. The bird still listens. Researchers working with homing pigeons discovered that when you experimentally disrupt a pigeon's ability to read polarized light, it becomes genuinely lost. Not slower, not less accurate. Lost. The polarization pattern isn't supplementary information. It is foundational. It is part of the architecture of the world that bird inhabits. Take it away, and the world itself stops making sense. And here is what that truly means. Every time you have watched a bird fly confidently away into the distance and wondered idly where it was going, it knew. It knew with a precision and certainty that you could not match even with a phone in your hand and a satellite overhead, because it was reading a version of the sky you have never been able to see. There is a kind of grief in that, if you let yourself feel it. Not grief for the birds, grief for the bandwidth of reality you will never access. The world is broadcasting in a frequency you were never wired to receive. But here is where it turns into something else. Something stranger and perhaps more beautiful than the loss, because birds don't just perceive more. They seem to integrate what they perceive in ways that suggest a relationship with the natural world that is genuinely alien to human experience. Studies tracking migratory species have shown that individual birds remember not only routes but conditions. The specific magnetic intensity at a location, the polarization signature of a familiar sky, the ultraviolet markings on landmarks they passed years before. They are not following a simple instinct. They are navigating with a multisensory memory of the world that is assembled from perceptual data we don't even have language for. When a homing pigeon returns to its loft after being transported hundreds of miles away and released in an unfamiliar location, what exactly is happening inside that small head? It is cross-referencing magnetic data against learned magnetic maps. It is reading the polarized sky and comparing it to a remembered polarization gradient from home. It is, in some sense, doing something that approaches what we would call orientation in mathematical space. Except it is doing it with biology, with quantum events, with ancient photoreceptors that have been refined over 150 million years of evolution. Your GPS is running software written by engineers over decades. The pigeon is running something written by time itself. And what researchers now believe is that this perceptual world, this ultraviolet, magnetic, polarized landscape that birds inhabit, is not a passive experience. It is an active one. The bird is not simply receiving information. It is engaging with it, responding to it, making decisions based on a complexity of environmental data so rich that it staggers the imagination. The crow watching you from the telephone wire isn't seeing you the way you see it. It may be seeing the UV reflectivity of your jacket, the polarized glare off your car, the magnetic anomaly of the metal near where you're standing. It is assembling a picture of you that is, in a technical sense, more informationally dense than the picture you are assembling of it. That crow has been studying you, with more data than you have ever had about it. There is something in this that goes beyond biology, something that touches the deepest questions we have about consciousness and experience. Because if a bird is inhabiting a reality so fundamentally different from our own, If the same physical world produces two such radically different conscious experiences, then what does that tell us about the nature of reality itself? Is the world we perceive the world that exists? Or is it merely the world we were built to see? The philosopher Thomas Nagel asked what it is like to be a bat, navigating by echolocation, assembling a picture of the world from reflected sound. He asked this as a way of pointing toward the limits of human imagination, toward the possibility that other minds experience something so different from our own that we cannot truly conceive of it from the inside. He never wrote about birds, but he should have, because a bird flying through a sky painted with ultraviolet markings, navigating by a quantum compass embedded in its own eye, reading the geometry of the Earth's magnetic field as a visual experience, that creature is not inhabiting a diminished version of your world. It is inhabiting an expanded version of it, a version your mind was never built to enter. You go outside in the morning and you look at the sky and you feel something that people throughout history have called wonder, or peace, or mystery. You cannot always explain it. You just feel that the sky is more than it appears, that the birds crossing it are more than decoration, that something is happening up there that you are almost but not quite able to grasp. That feeling is not poetic nonsense. That feeling is accurate. There's a layer of the world above you, woven into the same light, the same air, the same sky you have looked at every day of your life, and it is rich with information you cannot read. It is full of structure and meaning and ancient biological intelligence moving through it constantly. The birds are not just passing through your sky. They are reading it. They are living inside a version of it so detailed, so multidimensional, so alive with invisible information that the world you see from the same spot at the same moment is, by comparison, a sketch. The next time a bird crosses your field of view, don't watch it fly away. Watch it navigate. Watch it read. Watch a living creature moving through a world you will never have full access to. A world that has always been there, always been real, always been full, just beyond the edge of what your eyes were built to see. The sky you thought you knew. You were only ever seeing one page of it. Has there ever been a moment, standing outside, watching them move, when you felt certain the birds were perceiving something you weren't? Tell me what that felt like.